the inference there is if you don't do that, then somebody should call and check on you. You know, stuff like that. And then there are refrigerators that inventory the barcodes on things that are in them and generate grocery lists for you and all that kind of stuff. And it's just about no end to it. So because of everything that's proliferating so rapidly on this Internet of Things, we thought it would be a good idea to do this seminar and kind of get everybody up to speed. So this is the third time we've done this, and we'll do it again because I think there are a lot of people very interested in it. I'm Jerry Hafer. I represent AMAC and the AMAC Foundation. And I normally tell people to turn their cell phones off. So I apologize for that. I just forgot. I represent AMAC and the AMAC Foundation. Is anybody here familiar with AMAC? Okay. Then we got a fresh marketplace. Now, seriously, AMAC is the Association of Mature American Citizens. We are the conservative alternative. We represent 1.3 million members. We're a membership organization, just like that other one that many of you know about. We are the conservative alternative. We represent our 1.3 million members in Washington, lobbying consistently on behalf of seniors, things like Social Security improvement, Medicare, health care, that sort of thing. We have a presence every day in Washington where we're constantly lobbying on behalf of seniors. That's what AMAC does. I would refer you to the AMAC website for more information. That is amac.us is our website. The foundation is AMAC's nonprofit affiliate. We are a 501c3 with a simple mission of supporting and educating America's seniors. That's what we do in the foundation. And we do that in a number of ways. I'm going to play a quick video that we put together that'll give you a little background.
One of the many areas AMAC is dedicating itself to is the information needs for older Americans. The AMAC Foundation was formed in 2013 to provide seniors guidance for the retirement years and providing valuable resources. Among these services are seminars and workshops on topics of interest to seniors and a Social Security advisory service. The AMAC Foundation has hosted a major healthcare symposium in Washington, published a 138-page handbook on America's Social Security system, and staffed a devoted team of certified advisors to answer any questions regarding Social Security. The AMAC Foundation's online presence is robust, with a dedicated website that provides event schedules, articles, and resources for seniors. The Foundation also maintains two information-packed topical websites, one for Social Security and the other for healthcare issues, including Medicare. As mentioned earlier, the AMAC Foundation provides all of its services for free. It operates on contributions from AMAC members and the public. Making a contribution through the Foundation's website is quick and easy. Please consider donating to support the enrichment of American seniors' lives. With dynamic plans for future programs, the AMAC Foundation is working to bring more value to the constituency that benefits most from these services. One of the many areas
far. The comments that we got back from people that have participated in this have been absolutely glowing. So I'd like to introduce Zach Newman, Marshall Shaw, Joshua McIntosh, and I saved the best for last, Zoe Berry. They are the absolute experts in this field, and they can answer all your questions. They have some prepared material that they'll run through that explains everything, but they'll be happy afterwards to answer any questions you have, and I will be here afterwards too. If you have any questions about AMAC and the AMAC Foundation, I'll still be here, just stop by and see me. With that, I'll turn it over to Josh. We got to get everybody mic'd up. We're actually live streaming this. For people that could not attend, they can watch it on the internet, so we need to have room. Thank you.
So just a quick thing is that today, after each slide, we're going to be taking questions after each slide. So just hold off on it, and after each slide, after we go to each product, we'll go over some questions. All right?
Again, at the end of each slide, we'll go over the questions. We'll try to keep the questions pertaining to the slide that we just went over. And then any general questions that you have, we'll save for the end and we'll go through those together. A big thank you to AMAC for having us out in the Lady Lake Library. Hopefully everyone's doing good today. I'm a little loud, so let me see if I can help with that. There we go. Sorry, I speak loud naturally, so the microphone doesn't really like me. So we kind of live in a world of technology nowadays. Everything's evolving. I remember a few years ago when all we had was, like that. Anyways, as I was saying is, we kind of live in a world of technology where everything's evolving. I remember about 10 years ago when all we had was a flip phone. That was the smartest thing that we had. Now things have kind of progressed past that. Now things are coming into our houses. Like he said, we have smart sheets, we have lights, we have doorbells. I mean, almost anything in your house can be automated now, basically making the ultimate smart home. So you can have your house basically do its own thing, and you just kind of live in it. It's great. So a smart home basically is a home that's kind of equipped with, like I said, lighting, doorbells, things like that. Anything that kind of makes it automated would make it a smart home. Most smart homes don't start off as like being everything at once. It's kind of something you build up towards. So you start with a door lock, start with the doorbell, maybe eventually get the sheets that tell you if you're out of bed or not. Eventually they'll make the bed for us, I hope. So, kind of what I just went over, there's a lot of things that make something a smart home. Even this slide's even outdated nowadays because it's always evolving. But some examples are such as lights that come on by themselves when you leave the house, or change colors when you're doing something specific. You have lights and switches and outlets that will turn off when you leave the house or turn a light on in the other room. Thermostats that automatically adjust to keep you comfortable, to kind of learn your schedules, and then when you walk out, again, raise the temperature so you're not using that much power. You have security cameras that, again, slide over, sorry. You have security cameras that, again, will kind of monitor when you're home, help you keep safe, will automatically record, send to the cloud, that way it's always on. You don't have to worry about fiddling with anything. Video doorbell, so if someone walks up, rings your doorbell, it'll actually record who's there, send it to your phone so you can see real time, even if you're not home, who's at your house. And then lastly, locks and garage doors, so basically your phone can automatically unlock your house as you're walking up. It can let anyone in, even again, if you're not there, so you don't have to have 8,000 keys laying around. You can just automatically unlock your house. Okay, so there are some requirements to a smart home though. Out of curiosity, a raise of hands, how many people have internet here? Okay, so I mean, it's a pretty basic requirement nowadays. Everyone usually has internet, but smart homes usually do require an active internet connection. Nothing insane, but it does have to have a wireless connection in the house for a lot of these devices to connect to. There are a few exceptions to this. They don't always have to have internet connection, but 90% of them do. Additionally, as well, everyone has a smartphone or some kind of tablet, a laptop, right? So yeah, most of these devices connect to one of these as a central hub. So they usually have apps for your phone, things like that, that you'll connect to the smart devices for. First and foremost, we have lights. So they wrote a few examples here. You'll have to forgive me. This is my second time seeing this slide. Basically, we have Philips Hue, Litfix, and Lumi. They all kind of differ, but they do serve the same purpose. So real quick, I'm going to move left to right here. and then I'll kind of dive a little bit more in depth. So with the Philips Hue, these are the most complex, but the most popular from what I've seen at least. These require their own bridge, so they come with a starter kit that has to have its own little hub that it connects to, and then it connects to the internet. One of these hubs can connect 52 bulbs, so usually you only have to buy one and you're set for the rest of your house. They do require a hub though, and an active internet connection. So they do have to have internet connection. The Litfix does not use a hub. They basically connect right to the Wi-Fi. Again, these do have to have an active internet connection though. Again, I'll dive a little more in depth to each one after. And the last is the Lumi. These are actually one of the exceptions to the rule with the Wi-Fi. These do not use a hub and they don't use Wi-Fi. They actually work off of Bluetooth. They create their own Wi-Fi basically to each other, and they work off of that and they connect to your phone via Bluetooth. So each of these actually have kind of variations too. They're more than just bulbs. A lot of people think that when you say smart lighting, it's just lights that plug into lamps, things like that. They've kind of evolved past that. So most of these, and they're listed here below as well, they have strips, like accent lighting, track lighting. They come in many different forms, so they're more than just bulbs nowadays. You can actually plug in any of these. Basically, there's almost a bulb for any outlet that you have in your house. I can't think of one that they don't have basically at this point. Now they all kind of follow a similar like pattern and what they can do. Some differ a little bit, and again, it's on the slides. I know you guys all have handouts. All of them though, they can set schedules. So as I was saying, you can actually have your lights turn on when you leave your house. So say you're going out to a party or something, or you're going out to a friend's house, but you forget to turn the lights off. Basically, you can actually have it set up for when you leave your house, they'll turn off for you. Or say you go to bed at a certain time or wake at a certain time. You can actually have it set for when you're waking up, they will slowly turn on for you, and they'll be on in the morning. There's no need to get up and grab a switch, they're just on. It kind of makes it a little bit easier. In addition to that, they're all LED bulbs. So this is kind of the exception to the rule nowadays. A lot of bulbs used to be fluorescent, which they use a lot of power, so kind of everything's moving to LEDs. But they do kind of save you electricity in the long run as well. So there's a strong upfront cost. But with LED bulbs, you actually save money over a year compared to the traditional like fluorescent bulbs. They burn a little bit cooler as well, so they don't produce as much heat, which means your thermostat also doesn't, or your AC doesn't have to work as hard. So that's kind of an added benefit. So again, we talked about the schedule, so you can schedule it to, like again, when you wake up, when you leave. Additionally, with the Hue bulbs, with the Hue bulbs, you can actually set what's called scenes as well. So if you say, hey, Alexa, or whatever your smart device is that you connect with these with, I want to do this, like I want to have a party, it can set all the lights to blue or random colors if you want it to. So you can create these little scenes to what you're doing. So say you're just reading a book and you want it to be really low lighting, you say, hey, I'm reading a book, and it will actually lower the lights and create the scene. So say you like soft, warm lighting when you're reading, like an orange light. You can do that with the Hue. So you can just say, hey, I want to read a book. It'll lower the lights down, make it nice orange, whatever's comfortable for you, obviously. So that's kind of great. You can kind of set up exactly however you want your lighting. You know, honestly, anything you can think of customizing in your lighting, you can do it with these lights. Anyone have any questions on the lighting? Yes, sir.
What's a bridge?
Okay, so the bridges, again, it's kind of like a router. The only ones that require it are going to be the Hues. It's kind of like a router box, basically, that all of those bulbs connect to. It's just a square box. It doesn't really serve much purpose besides connecting the lights to the Wi-Fi, basically.
There's a couple other devices that require a bridge, not just the Hue, which we'll get into later, but it depends on which bridge you get. There's one that comes with, which we'll get into, an Alexa, or when you get it, it comes with it. But specifically with the Philips Hue, you're not going to be able to use as much lighting effects with that bridge as compared to getting the bridge that you get with the Philips Hue light. So there are different ones, but typically this would be the best option if you're going with the Philips Hue.
It's basically a control module, though, for as simple as it gets. It's a control module that controls the lights. It allows the lights to connect to the internet. It kind of creates more of its own local network, so you don't have any like interference, basically.
So is that bridge connected somewhere like in your main circuit box?
Nope, that bridge will, well, it does connect to the power, but just through an outlet, and then a cable will run from that to your router, basically. So you would put it usually next to your router, and a cable will run from the bridge itself. Again, it's just a square little box. It would run from that to the router, and then it would just plug into a regular wall outlet.
And if anyone's wondering, your router is pretty much the box that your ISP gave you, your internet service provider that allows you to connect to your internet. That's your cable modem router combo. That's what it connects to.
Any other questions on the smart lighting? Yes.
These are all 110.
Sorry.
All 110.
Yes, they are all 110. We looked it up last time as well. They're all 110, and it's 65 lumens, I believe, is the max on them. Yes. Actually, he had a question back here. Sorry.
Cost.
Cost. Okay. Did you have the list?
So the Philip Hue runs anywhere from 100 to 200. The Lithics runs anywhere from $25 to 200, depending on what you're getting with them. And the Illumi runs anywhere from $36 to $52 from the prices that we have on our website right now.
No,
That's quite a wide range. What determines it?
it's based on which package you get. So like the Philips Hue, you could get one that has the bridge and just one light bulb. Then you can get one that has a bridge and 3 light bulbs. And then each individual light bulb by itself is more like about $30 compared to the 100.
Or take like the Lithics. The Lithics for just a light bulb, it's that $25. While they have a big light bar that you can put up in the house as well, and that's the $200.
If you had multiple bulbs, would they all work at the same time, or would they work differently?
So the question was, if you have multiple bulbs,
Say in one package, you
Yeah.
could have as many as 3 light bulbs. If you had a light bulb in each bedroom, could you
Absolutely.
set that to work
Yeah.
separately?
Absolutely. So they can all work separately. And then again, they have extensions to that. So you're just buying the starter package basically. From there, you can buy additional bulbs. I believe the white bulbs are only $14.99. And then the color bulbs are a little bit higher, obviously, because they do a little bit more functionality. But yeah, you're just buying a starter package. You can set them up all to work separately, and then you can buy additional bulbs. And that goes with all their other things as well. Light strips, the accent lighting, the track lighting, all that can be bought and added to that hub. You just buy that hub one time, basically. There was,
also, you can set it up to where multiple bulbs create a group, and then you can set that group as a scene for like your bedroom. So you can have, was it not on? Lights on. Yeah, it's on. So you can have multiple options of not just controlling individual, but as a group as well.
I believe we had a question over here first, and then we'll come to you. There was one over here, I believe. Yes, ma'am.
So, is it one bulb per room?
No, you can actually have multiple bulbs. One hub will connect up to 52 bulbs. So wherever you put those bulbs is entirely up to you. Like in my living room, I have 3. So I can say, hey, turn off the living room lights, and it will turn off all 3 of them. That's what he was referring to when you can create groups. So you can basically group those light bulbs into being the living room. And you go, hey, again, however you connect to the bulbs, whether that be a smart assistant, your phone, things like that. And we'll get into that a little bit later. You can say, hey, turn off the living room. All 3 of those will shut off if you mark those as the living room.
The bulbs replace your current bulb. You don't have to get anything extra. You can plug it into your current lamp. So it's
Give me
not-
one sec. He had a question here, and we'll come to you. Yes, sir.
You have to have an app on your phone, or is this all controlled through Alexa? Or
So it does set up through an app on a smart device. It doesn't have to be your phone. It could be a tablet, but it does have to be a smart device. Again, that's kind of one of the requirements to having a smart home is you do have to have at least a smartphone or a tablet. You set them up one time, and then if you have Alexa, like a smart assistant like Alexa or a Google Home, they can remote connect to those. And again, we'll go through that once we get to that section of it. But yes, the Alexa and the Google Homes can both control them. And I believe there was, yes, sir.
do any of those that require like Alexa or anything like that, if you lose power, does that wipe it out?
Okay, it won't wipe it out, but you will lose control over it. So they are, it's one of the things I know because a lot of people come down and go back up north as well, so they turn their internet off. You have to have internet and power for them to function, just like most other devices that you would have, like a light bulb device, so you can't turn on if you don't have power. Same kind of concept. It doesn't change, but you do have to have Wi-Fi as well, so you have to think of that.
Will it also lose the memory then?
No, it won't lose it. It will just pick it back up once you turn it back on. It's kind of like your computer. If it shuts down, it doesn't forget everything. It's the same thing. It will remember all that information for you.
Now,
There was-
also, speaking of that is, yes, when you lose power, you lose control, but there is actually an option for that where it can prevent that, but it's called Vivint, which we'll get into at the end, and that can actually provide a service in case you do lose power. But we'll get to that at the end.
I believe, do we have any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
We have 17 bulbs in our living room and kitchen.
Okay.
That seems kind of expensive.
Okay, so I get this a lot. There is a huge upfront cost with it. With these, you're not going to obviously make your return on it very quickly. They are LED bulbs though, and the reason I say that is because you're not going to save like $50 a month on your paycheck or on your energy bill, but you will save money with LED bulbs versus your normal bulbs just because they use significantly less power. So it isn't something you're going to notice right away, but over time you do end up saving a little bit of money. Not that it's going to recuperate the entire cost, but it will help kind of bring it back. Additionally, they don't get as warm as your traditional light bulbs. So again, your AC doesn't have to work as hard, which saves you a little bit of money there as well. Yes, sir.
How long have they been around?
What? Sorry, one more time.
How long have they been around?
So Hughes have been around for about, I'm going to say about 3 years. 2012, so longer than that even. So some of these are a little bit newer to me. I'm more familiar with the Hughes than anything else. So I'm sure these have been right behind the Hughes. So around 2012 would be your answer. Yes, ma'am. Did you have another question?
We have spotlights in the kitchen. Do they replace spotlights?
Absolutely. So they have, like I said, they have just about any bulb that you could possibly imagine. You could get down to the very specifics. They have 819s, like the bigger bulbs. They have all of them. They even have floodlights that they can replace. So they have a bulb for just about anything. I see one more question back here. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead. Okay. LED bulbs last longer than regular fluorescent bulbs. They usually burn for about 20 to 25 years. So they last for a while. As long as you don't break them, they're going to probably last the lifetime of your house. So.
And like everybody has their own phones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So you would download the app. Basically, if you wanted to program multiple lights to like different phones, they can all be, you just sign into the same account basically. And then once you're signed into that account, they can control the lights just like you without kind of making any changes, things like that. So yeah, multiple phones, you can have as many phones as you want, you just have to be onto the same account, that's all.
Just in case if you didn't hear the question, it was just that, can you have it across multiple devices? You just sign into the same account to control it.
Any other questions on the smart lighting? Oh, yes, ma'am.
Since I'm not a really smart person on wiring, who's the smart people that I go to
So,
talk to me and show me how to do this?
her question was regarding the wiring and kind of like who would go to this. It's definitely something we would come out and do if that's something you wanted to do. The good thing about these though, at least with the smart lights, is there is a lot of simplicity to it. It's actually as simple as replacing a bulb. There's no additional wiring you have to do in your socket. You actually can just pull your bulb out, put the new one in, and then use the app to connect it. There's nothing special you have to do to change the socket, things like that.
So the instructions are in there?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. With the smart lights, there's not a lot you have to change. Luckily, they work in any pre-existing socket as long as it's 110, which is your standard socket. So.
On top of that, they're very easy to set up. They come with their own instruction booklet, especially the starter package. As you said, you just plug it in or screw it in, and it'll walk you through on how to get the app on your phone or tablet. And then in the app itself, it'll show you how to do a setup and how to configure it for the app. It'll walk you right through it.
Any other questions on the smart lighting? Yes, ma'am.
So you're saying these bulbs are the smart, they're smart?
Yep, the bulbs are all smart, so they're all basically connected. Again, all except for the Lumi, they're connected to the Wi-Fi, so you would control them via your phone. So what makes them smart is the fact that you can turn them off and on with your phone. You can set scheduling, so again, you can have it turn on at 9 a.m. and off at 9 p.m. You can set it's called geofencing. So what that means is it basically will mark your house out on the map on your phone, and basically when you leave that area, it can turn them off for you. So that's what makes them smart, is that they turn on and off for you at your.
And that's all in the bulb?
Yep, absolutely. And that's kind of why they range in prices. That's why some of the color ones are a little bit higher, just because they have that's a lot of technology to pack into a little bulb. Any other questions on this? Yes, ma'am. I have the Hughes myself. I not to disparage these two, I don't have much experience with them. I do have the Hughes myself, and I adore them. They're great. They work really well. So, any other questions? Perfect. All right. The next one that we have is smart switches and outlets. So these kind of are what you would use to make, not to say dumb devices, but dumb devices smart. The best way to explain it. So basically with these work very similar to the Hughes in terms of how you can make schedules, things like that. So you can schedule these to come on and off at a certain time. You can turn them on remotely when you're not home, so elsewhere. And basically, across the board, they all kind of do a similar thing, and we'll leave the Lutron out of it because this is actually a little bit different. The smart outlets, basically you plug into a regular outlet. Again, it's just your standard outlet in your house. And then you would plug whatever device you want to basically make smart into it. And then from there, that basically makes it a smart device. So the easiest example I can give is the Wemo outlets. You can plug a coffee maker into it basically and set a schedule for it to come on and say at 8 a.m. So not a lot of coffee makers have their own schedule where it starts making coffee. You can plug it into one of these, set a schedule for 8 a.m., it will turn on at 8 a.m., and it will start making coffee for you. So that's kind of what the outlets do. They kind of basically take, like I said, dumb devices and make them smart. And you can do this with almost anything. Again, you can do this with lights that you already have, so lamps, things like that. I believe they have curling irons as an example, things that you would probably need prep time for. Basically anything along those lines. It does replace the existing, well, the outlets don't replace the existing. Those just plug into the outlets. They do have switches as well that do very similar things with the lights. They'll turn them on and off for you. But those are more of just turn on and off versus being able to change colors and make scenes, things like that. Those do change your existing outlet, so those would replace your actual wall switch. With these, all of these you can set schedules for. So again, you can set it for, I want this to happen at 9 a.m., I want this to happen at 9 p.m., whenever, to kind of accommodate your life. The whole point of a smart home is to be able to automate things. So you set a schedule up that's kind of like suits you, and then from there you just let it go and let it do its thing. That way your life just becomes, your house is easy to control. It just lets it do, you know what I mean? It goes on its own. They both, or all of them have an away mode, and what that means is that basically if you don't interact with it over a very long course of period of time, or you set it manually in the away mode, basically what happens is it will stop following the schedule and turn off, and it'll assure that, this also, bear with me, sorry, this also turns the lights on randomly, right, with the, okay, sorry, forgive me, this is a new slide for me. With the away mode, it'll turn everything off, and then when you're gone, so say you're on a vacation for like 2 weeks, it will turn your lights on randomly for you. That way it looks like someone's home, and it'll turn them off after an hour or two. That way it looks like there's activity in the house, because obviously if someone's gonna break in, they're gonna look for a house that hasn't had lights on in 2 weeks, you know what I mean? Because they know you're not home. But with away mode, let's say you're on vacation, it will turn the lights on for you for about an hour or so, and then turn them back off. That way it looks like there's movement, there's people there, you know what I mean? Bear with me here, sorry.
Also on top of that, also some of them come with dimmer switches. So what that does is it actually allows you to create light at lower levels instead of just completely turning it off. So let's say you're reading and you want that low light, you can have that dimmer switch cause it to go as a lower brightness instead of having it completely bright. Also, some of them have a backlit. So let's say you're at night and you can't see where the light switch is. It'll actually have a backlit so that as you're walking to it, that light switch will light up so you can see where the light switch is. Any questions?
Now, real quick,
Oh, yeah.
the Lutron's pretty cool as well. It's not only just a dimmer switch. The piece comes out of the wall piece itself. That way it's remote. That way if you want to walk away from it, you want to go sit down or something like that, you'll have the remote where you can turn the lights on, off, lower, brighter, however you want, and then you can just put it back at the end of the night.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Why would you pick a light switch over a bulb? What's the advantage?
There is a price difference in the big two. I'll let these guys answer more than because they know more about this slide than I do, so forgive me on that one. But I know a big difference is definitely going to be some of the functionality. The bulbs don't do what's called away mode, but you can turn them on remotely. And again, there is a big price difference in the two. But I'll let him explain a little bit more because again, they're a little more knowledgeable, at least on this slide here.
So on the light switch, like let's say you have an overhead light that has 5 bulbs and you don't want to pay to replace all 5 bulbs, you can instead just pay for the light switch it connects to. And then that way you just pay for the light switch and you can then have automatic turning it off or on or whatever the case may be. So you can save money that way instead of having to replace, like other person said, she has 17 light bulbs in her kitchen. She can just replace the light switches instead of every single bulb. And that way, over time, you can save money that way. Yes, sir.
Is there a limit to the wattage? And the backlit, does it stay on all the time or just when you're in the area?
As far as the backlit, I believe it goes on based on where you are instead of just staying on all the time. As far as the wattage, I'm not sure on that. I have to let you know.
What can you plug into?
Oh. anything. Yeah.
110. I mean,
Yeah.
if you do a 110, you wouldn't want to plug in your range.
Yeah, like on the Wemo, you can see that there's like little icons surrounding it. That's just giving you a list of things. You got lamps, you've got curling iron, you've got your coffee maker, you got a TV, you got a speaker system, like pretty much anything you would normally plug into an outlet, it replaces. Yep. Yes, ma'am. All right, the costs, you got them right here, right?
So take the Wemo. The Wemo range is anywhere from $30 to $130. The TP Link is anywhere from, I believe it was 50 to 200. And then the Lutron, you have either the $50, which is just the switch, or the whole package at 100.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the advantage of just the little cheap, old-fashioned timer thing that goes into your outlet and you plug something else into is that this is all controlled by your phone. Is that the whole thing?
So the question was, why is this more beneficial than the current ones out there? Yes, so you can connect these through an app on your phone and be able to manually set them up as a schedule or whatever the case may be, instead of having to manually go over there. And so it's all through the app on your phone. And of course, let's say you forgot to turn off the lights when you went out to the grocery store, you can go on your app on your phone and just turn off your lights while being away. Yep. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Does it require an electrician?
No. The question was, does it require an electrician? No. It's just literally taking off the faceplate and, yep. Yes, ma'am. The question was, do you need Wi-Fi for all these? The question is yes. Answer is yes. Yes, sir.
So is this what they would use on the garage door? You see the commercials for the garage door on your smartphone? You can open and close it?
The question was, is this what you use for your garage door? Not specifically this, but there is a garage door which we will be going over later. And yes, there is an option for that. Any other questions? All right.
Perfect. Thank you, Zach and Marshall. Sorry again, that slide's not my forte there. There's some other stuff there. I'll talk nonstop though until I'm blue in the face. So bear with me. This is one of them. Thermostats are great. I actually personally have a Nest thermostat, and it really does a lot for me. But there's some great options in terms of smart thermostats. Some of the benefits, and I'll kind of go through each one here. Some of the benefits though to having a thermostat is basically being able to regulate your temperature with ease. So at least I know with a Nest, you can actually, it learns your patterns, and a lot of these do. They learn your patterns. So basically, if you say you get up every morning at say 8:30, you don't have to tell your thermostat this, but say you set your temperature always to 72 or 74, whatever it may be in the morning, your thermostat over time is going to learn that you do that, and on what days you do that. So say you only do that Monday through Friday, it will learn that. Unless you turn it off, it will learn it, and it will start setting your temperature to 72 for you. Basically, it's designed to kind of learn your patterns and also help you save money. All of them basically work with an app, and they can all be controlled via your phone as well. I know one thing I hate is getting out of bed in the morning to turn the temperature up or down. It's kind of a pain, especially when you're all comfy. You're just like, oh, I want the heat on. I want to lay here for a little bit. From your phone, you can pull your phone out, and you can adjust the temperature to whatever you like and let it be. That's it. That's all there is to it. They all have basically schedules that you can set as well, very similar to the lights. You can set it up for 9 a.m. I want it to be this temperature. You don't have to let it learn that. You can just set that manually. Left or right, again, I have the Nest. So the Nest works really well. So the Nest, when you install the Nest, basically the coolest feature, I think at least on the Nest, is that if you don't walk in front of your Nest for say a few hours, it goes into away mode as well, similar to like the light switches, things like that. But it doesn't turn on randomly. It'll actually set your temperature to whatever you like pre-design it to do, and it'll go to that temperature. So obviously the ideal temperature they say I think is 78 to save the most electricity. So say you, I think that's what they say. I might be wrong. I'm getting some reactions here. I think that's what they say. I might be wrong on that one, but basically, if you don't walk in front of your thermostat for 2 hours, it will raise your temperature to whatever you set it to, and it will keep it there until it sees you again. Once you walk in front of it again, then it will drop it back down to whatever you had it at last. Additionally, like I said, it does learn your patterns, so it will learn if you get up at 8 a.m. and set your thermostat to 70 or 72, and it'll learn what days you do that on. So say you do that Monday through Friday, 72, it'll start learning that and doing that automatically for you. Same thing, anytime throughout the day, if you change it, it will learn that. Nest also uses far-side illumination, so the screen isn't on all the time. So it kind of saves you a little bit of electricity there, but it's kind of nice because basically the screen will shut off. It'll look just like a standard thermostat until you walk near it or it sees you in any distance. So if we say we had one in the back of the room right now and it saw me walking back and forth, it would light up and tell me whatever I tell it to. So like the time or the temperature. That's what mine does. When I walk in front of it, it tells me the time. So it's easier than even having a wall clock. The Nest has built-in like HVAC monitoring. So if something's not working right in your entire AC unit, basically it will throw alerts either on the app or on the device as well and say, hey, something's not right, you need to check this. So it kind of monitors for any errors in your entire like AC unit. If something goes wrong, like the pump fails, the heat pump, things like that, it will actually tell you. Mine actually recently, I had an issue with the power going out on mine, on my unit. I couldn't figure out what it was. The Nest knew before I even realized the AC was turning off. Like it said, hey, there's something going on with your power, take a look at this. So it does kind of help you monitor and make sure that everything's staying healthy. The Nest also, again, it's designed to kind of help you save energy power, or energy usage, basically. It connects to the internet. It will actually track the weather in your area for the day as well. So if you have it in away mode and something happens where it's say really hot randomly one day you're on vacation and it cools down the next, in away mode it will actually adjust to kind of coordinate with the temperature so you're not using heat when it's already hot outside or cold when it's already obviously 50 degrees outside or whatever else. So it does kind of help you save electricity. And then in the end, it actually sends you a monthly report as well to say, hey, this is how much electricity you saved, this is when we saved it, how we saved it, and what you can do to save more. So it's really great at kind of keeping an eye on what's going on with your AC unit. The Ecobee and the Honeywell do very similar things. The Ecobee is really cool, and I'm thinking about getting one myself, or Ecobee, I think it's actually called. This one actually has sensors that you put in each room versus using just a base station. So you could say put a sensor in your room, wherever you care about the temperature being the most precise, like your bedroom or the living room. And this can actually go off those sensors. So you could say, I want it 72 in the bedroom. It doesn't obviously isolate the bedroom as one area to cool down, but it will cool down until at least the sensor in the bedroom hits 72. So I know at least with my thermostat, it's located in the hallway. I have bedrooms on both sides of the house, and then it's right in the middle, basically. It might get like 72 there, but the bedrooms might still be a little warm, or vice versa. It might be the other way around, where it's a little warm in the thermostat. With the Ecobee, you put a sensor in the bedrooms, you say, I want it 72 in this bedroom. It will keep going until the bedrooms hit 72, not the thermostat. So it's really cool about the Ecobee. Again, it does track usage. It will use the local weather to help you coordinate kind of how to save some power. Like, hey, it's going to be cloudy this day. You don't have to use as much AC. Kind of tell you the ideal temperature for the day. And again, they do the energy reports as well. It says, hey, this is how much power you used. This is when you used it. This is how many hours you ran your AC. This is what you can do to kind of to save some money in your AC bill. The last one is the Honeywell. The Honeywell as well will learn, again, temperature changes. So if you adjust it in the morning or adjust it at night, it will do that. You can set it again on schedules as well. So you can adjust, you can tell it to say, hey, I'm going to work at 8 a.m. I don't want it to be 74 and a half, make it 80. And it'll learn that, and then you can set it to, when you come home, to be 74. This one does alert you to, and the Nest does as well, it's not on the slide, I apologize, humidity in the house as well. The Honeywell, I believe you have to have an addition to it, an add-on. The Nest will do it by default, but they do monitor humidity as well to help you save electricity, because obviously if it's more humid, you don't need actually as much cold air to cool it down, because it's just water vapor in the air. You cool the water vapor and it gets colder naturally. The Honeywell will monitor and alert you as well if something changes in the house drastically. It won't monitor the actual AC unit, but it'll monitor if something gets really cold or really hot suddenly, and it'll alert you on the phone saying, hey, for some reason it got really hot in your house. Usually that means the AC unit's off. Could be, again, if it's really cold, something got stuck on, something along those lines. But they're pretty great. Again, this is one of my favorite things. Like I said, I don't want to get out of bed in the morning to change the AC, so I love doing it from my phone. I can actually show you here, if it will load. Let's see. So I love my Nest app. I can control it right from bed. Yeah, it's not going to load, unfortunately. But you can control, basically, Some houses have multiple thermostats. You can control it all through one app. You can set whatever temperature you want. It's fantastic. That's really all there is about the thermostat. Does anyone have questions on them?
Actually, a couple things. Like, go over the most common questions. Like, he touched on a little bit, especially with the Nest. There isn't like an away mode, so it's actually going to monitor what is moving in the house. So you can have it set to that away mode so that if it sees that nobody's in the house, then it'll automatically set the temperature to that, whatever you have it set to. Now,
Which unit was that, sir?
the Nest.
The Nest, okay.
Now, I believe the others can do it as well, but as far as the Nest goes, now, a lot of the questions that get is that, what about pets? So they do have, it tracks, like I said, it tracks your pattern, and they actually have height sensors. So after about a week of trying to adapt to what kind of movement's going on, it'll actually base the height of those movements, and it'll recognize, oh, this is probably a cat or a dog, and just ignore that movement. And also, another common question is, how easy are they to set up? Especially the Nest, it is simple. You just take your panel off of your thermostat, and you just plug in the Nest. It's about 5 cables that go connect to it. It takes about 10 minutes to set up, and I think they're for pretty much all HVAC units, it's pretty much compatible with. Now there are some that have 4, which I believe there's an adapter.
There is an adapter. Basically, I installed the Nest myself. It does tell you can hire an HVAC specialist to do it. I have never touched an HVAC system in my life, so I've never actually wired an AC unit. I was able to have it done in 10 minutes. You take the old panel off. It's easy to take a picture where the wires plug in, and then you just plug it in on the new one. Like I said, I've never touched an AC unit in my life, never even seen one before I did it. Took me 5 to 10 minutes at most. So it is a very simple process. There's not a lot that can really go wrong. And then again, at least with the Nest, if you have something plugged in the wrong area, it will yell at you saying, hey, that's not right, move it here. So it is very simple. There's not a lot of trial and error with it. It's just follow instructions, and you'll have it done in no time at all.
And also, especially with like the ecobee, when he was talking about the certain rooms, being able to detect what temperatures certain rooms are with the sensors, what it can do is has smart vents, so that it just closes and opens vents for you, so that it can get the temperature it needs to be. So like say it's 72 degrees in one room, but you want it at 78, it'll close out vents or open vents as need be, so that each room matches the temperature you want it set to. And that's how that works. All right, any questions? Guy in the back, stripes.
So I assume it's battery powered?
The question was, is it battery powered? It goes straight off of the wiring that's currently on your panel, so it's not battery powered. It's getting power from that line. Yes, ma'am.
You were trying to change the temperature in your house, but if your phone was loading, it's because there's no.
It's because my signal's a little weak in here. That's all. And again, if I let it load a little bit longer, it would have pulled up. That's all it was. It's just that the signal. I have Sprint, unfortunately, and Sprint sometimes has spotty signals. So.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All of these require Wi-Fi, right?
That is correct. So he was wondering if they all require Wi-Fi. They do require some connection of some time to be able to connect with. If the Wi-Fi does drop, however, on these, it's not going to shut your AC off by default. It will just resume whatever pattern it has going, and you can still adjust it manually. The only time you cannot obviously adjust it manually is if you lose power.
Yes, sir. These auxiliary heat cooling systems that use remotes only, thermostat, can you hook it up to that one?
Unfortunately, so they do have some spots for it, but if it's auxiliary that's just by remote, they will not hook up to that. They have to be built in with your HVAC system.
Yes, ma'am.
So we're from northern Michigan, we come down here, will that alert us if the heat goes off?
Well, the question was, she's from up north. She's wondering if it goes off, will she get an alert? Yes, you will get an alert. As long as the Wi-Fi is in the house.
Oh, as long as the electricity is running.
Yeah, if
Correct.
you lose all power, unfortunately, then you won't be able to get a notification. It does
Again,
have to
though, there's a way around that, which I'll get to at the end. Yeah. Any
All
other
right.
questions? Yes, ma'am.
What is the cost for these?
He's got.
So the Nest is usually around $250. The ecobee can go from $169 to $249, and the Honeywell has one at $150 and one at $100.
All right. Oop. Sorry. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am, in the back.
Does the FOB learn your temperature pattern? It doesn't say that.
The question was, does the Echo Bee learn your patterns as like the Nest? The question is yes, but it's not as good as the Nest. It doesn't track it as well.
Yeah, the Echo Bee's claim to fame is more of the sensors in each individual room to help kind of regulate the temperature throughout the house.
Okay, go ahead.
You mentioned that the way it works is it opens and closes vents, so then you have to buy additional vents to go with that system?
The question was that I was talking earlier about the vents, and do you need to buy additional vents for that? Yeah, he can answer that better.
So from just getting this unit by itself, say your house is 80 and you want to cool down that one room, it's going to cool every room to get down to that point with no discrimination, basically, just to get that room there. Now, if you buy the separate vent system, if you want one room at like 80 and one room at like 70, it'll then cut off the vents to the rest of the house and just cool that room. So it depends on how you want to do it. If you want it per room, yes, you'll want to buy the vent system. We don't sell it in store, so I'm not quite sure off the top of my head. I'd have to pull that one up.
We can look it up. He's going to look it up while we go over any other questions. I'd recommend it, but no, you don't need to, but it'd be preferable.
If you're a weekend warrior, you'd be okay probably, but you know, I wouldn't do it on my own. I know zoning in houses with heating, but as far as air conditioning, I'm not a pro. So.
Yes, sir.
Question. And the only reason I'm saying this is that we had a friend sell their house, and they switched all of their alarms, their fire alarms and that stuff over to the 10-year model that were not hot wired, and inspection forced them to come in, and they had to go back and change everything back over because it wasn't code compliant. Any problems with any of these?
Not with these. Sensors that are alarms, things like that, usually depend on where you are, will require hard wires. These are not those. These hardwire into your pre-existing wiring, so they don't break any inspection laws, things like that. They would all pass just like your normal thermostat would. Just because that's why you can control when the Wi-Fi goes out. Because if you didn't, then it would probably be a problem. But because they still work as a dumb thermostat, once the Wi-Fi goes out, then everything's normal there.
All right, it looks like per vent, it looks like it's $70 for that ventilation vent. Yep.
Any other questions on the thermostats? All right. All right, next one is security cameras. So I'm going to go over the Arlo Pros and the Nest, and then we'll talk about the Swan after. Arlos, I personally have the Arlos as well. The Arlo Pros are fully wireless cameras. They don't require hardwire connections, but they can be hardwired if you want them to. They run off of lithium batteries, basically, and you can mount them almost anywhere within the base range, which is a pretty large distance. Usually one base will cover an entire house. They don't really specify size, but I've never had a range issue. With the Arlos, basically, they can track motion. So you can set up schedules to turn them on, like arm them, so they track motion and disarm them. You can do it manually, but they do track motion, and they can basically set up schedules to how they record. So basically what I mean by that is if it tracks motion in the living room, you can have it actually scheduled to record, say, like the front door, if you have one by the front door. The Arlos offer cloud recording for 7 days on the free version, and then they have paid packages for the higher version. So everything's kind of wireless and on the cloud. So there's not a lot of like setup process to it. You plug the base into the Wi-Fi, you set the cameras up where you want, and that's kind of about it. Again, these do require, well, with the Pro, you don't require Wi-Fi, right? Because the Pro can record. I'm getting a yes. Okay, so with the Pro, they don't require Wi-Fi. It's recommended, obviously, so you can get the cloud storage and you can check it anywhere. With the Pro, you can actually, if something happens where the Wi-Fi goes down, it records to the base station still.
Real quick on that, with the base station, you will have to get an external storage, like a hard drive to plug into it, but then it'll record to that for the local storage.
Thank you, Marshall. The Pros also have built-in sirens, so you can actually, you can have on motion detection, set the sirens off. Again, they all connect to the Arlo app, so you can real-time wherever you're at. I can pull mine up right now. You can real-time wherever you're at, check your home. They do, is it 6 cameras per station?
For the free version, it's 5. For the first tier of the paid version, it's 10, and for the second tier, it's 15.
So they can do up to 15 cameras. That should be plenty enough to cover an entire house. They have multiple versions as well. So they have the pros. They have a freer version, which is a little bit cheaper. It doesn't record as high quality, but still will work with the pros if you already have them. They come in different packages as well, so it's kind of like the Hue. You buy the base station, you start with that, and then you can buy as many cameras up to 15, obviously, after. So you can, there's packages that come with 2 and 4, and then you can add on, obviously, each individual camera that kind of fits your needs. So you don't have to say, oh, I'm going to go buy 10 cameras, but I only need 8. You can buy the smaller packages and add on cameras after. Again, they offer you 7-day free cloud storage, so if something happens where it starts recording, it will actually automatically save to the cloud where only you can get to it. You can kind of go back and watch that. And then they have paid versions that actually increase that up to 30 days as well. The pros are 1080p, so they're high definition basically. They're so clear that you can almost read text off of like a newspaper that's sitting on the counter even. The pros are really clear. I don't have the pros myself, I have the one step below that, and now like looking back, I almost wish I would have got the pros because I've seen someone with them and how clear they are. They're impressively clear. Again, they all have night, well, the Nest and the Pros have night vision. So at night, once the light kind of reaches a certain light, it'll switch over to IR, and the IR will basically light up the room, and it still works the same way. It'll detect motion and start recording, as well as if you have the siren set up, it will set off the siren.
Swan has night vision as well.
Depending on the model.
Yes. So that's the Arlos. The Nests are very similar. The Nests are also wireless cameras. The only problem with the Nest is they don't have built-in batteries. They do require hardware power, however you want to run that, whether it be through an outlet or a cable in the ceiling. They do require some power. The Arlos and the Nest are both indoor and outdoor, so you can set them wherever you're at. They both have two-way communication, so that's kind of a cool one as well. If you want to, say, talk to someone on the other end of the camera, or they want to talk to you, you can actually have full conversations with your camera. One of our leads at the store, his name is James. He has some in his grandparents' house, and he's had a full phone call conversation through his cameras with his grandparents. So it's great. Basically, you can have clear audio. So say if someone's walking up to your house and you have one outside, you can just tell them, hey, leave the package by the door, or hey, I'll be there in a second. You can have a full, clear conversation with no problems right through the cameras.
So in case like your partner's out and about, and like let's say you fell and you can't call, or you can't, not near your phone, you can't move, you could just wave at your camera to activate it, and it'll send a notification to the other person, and then they can start talking to you on the camera.
Again, they're both indoor and outdoor, so you can put them out the side. Water's not going to bother them at all. Just be careful where you put them outside. One issue I did run into one of my Arlos is I put it near a tree that blows a lot, sets off the sensor all the time. I had to lower that one way down because I had about 150 notifications in 10 minutes saying there was motion at that camera. So one thing to note when you are putting them up, just make sure you be cautious of where you put them. Trees, high traffic roads that you'll have a lot of cars going from. They both record in a 130-degree angle. That's a lot. If you've ever seen GoPro footage, like recorded GoPro footage where it looks fisheye, but you can see almost everything, that's kind of what these do. They're wide range. So one will cover an entire side of your house depending on where you put it, basically. Lastly, we have the Swan, which is a little bit different than the other two. These are your more traditional like hardware cameras. They do require, it's a DVR system, right, they use? Okay, so they do require a DVR system. So you may have seen like full security camera setups where they have their own TV and DVR system. These do require that. These are still smart cameras though, because you can still review them remotely anytime through your phone. Again, they have local storage of 2 terabytes. That's a lot of footage. That's, I mean, months on months and months of actual recorded footage that you can do with 2 terabyte space. These do all have to be hardwired as well, so they do require a cable running somewhere in the attic or in the ceiling down to this cable, this DVR box basically, so it can record. These are also night vision. They do have water resistant cameras as well, so they can go outside no problem. However, with these, they have a smaller viewing angle. It's only 77 degrees, so it doesn't record as much angle. They are pretty clear. They are high definition. All of these are high definition. And then these are only local storage, so these don't store in the cloud. These will stay right to that DVR box.
So again, to reiterate, like the main differences between these three,
Arlo Pro are wireless. They require wireless, so they require Wi-Fi connection, but they can be rechargeable or hardwired. The Swan, it has to be hardwired, and it has to go to a type of storage, like a DVR, but you can use Wi-Fi if you want to remote view it from your phone. That's the only reason why it would need Wi-Fi, but it does do local storage. And as the Nest, it does require Wi-Fi, but it also needs power, hardwire. Now, as far as the rechargeable batteries on the Arlo Pro, typically get asked a lot, how long do those batteries last? It'll depend. So the actual camera isn't actually active in recording until it senses motion. So that battery is, depending on which camera, can last up to 4 months with just one charge because it's not being active a lot. As compared to one that is being constantly activated, it can last like a month or less. So it just depends on how active the camera is.
With the Arlos, again, and they can also be hardwired as well if you want constant power so you don't have to keep recharging them. What I'll kind of say in terms of the battery life as well, as he was saying, is I've had mine for about 6 months now and I haven't replaced any of the batteries yet, except for one that's getting close because my dog walks in front of it all the time when I let him outside. That one's closer to 40%. The rest of them are like 92. So they're up there. They last for a long time. Again, they don't always 24/7 record. They only record the second it senses motion, but it actually records about 3 seconds before that as well. So they're kind of like in this really low standby mode until it detects any kind of motion, and then it'll alert you and start recording for however long you set it to. So you can set it from 10 seconds to a minute after it detects motion.
Any questions? Yes, sir, in the back.
So you're using a battery on your external, your outside?
Correct. Yep. I have, like I said, I have the one model below the Pro. The Pros have rechargeable batteries. The ones I use lithium batteries that come with it. The Pros actually have their own rechargeable, so you just take them out and charge them up every once in a while.
Are they lithium?
Those are lithium as well. Yes.
Yes, sir.
So what is the distance that it senses the motion from to?
Okay, so it depends. So this is kind of a trick one. So at night, it's actually shortened a lot because the IR blaster isn't going to pick up your entire front yard, unfortunately. It can only do so much because it is running off that little battery. During the day, you could pick up easily 60 to 100 feet, no problem. Like I had my cameras pick up things all the way down at the mailbox, which is at the end of my street before. Like it'll pick it all the way down there, and then at night it's a little bit shorter. It's a little bit closer to like 20 to 30 feet, just because the IR blaster isn't as strong because it's running off the batteries. And again, you can actually adjust in the app. It's set in the middle by default. You can adjust sensitivity as well. So if you make it more sensitive, it does actually give it a little bit more range too, because it picks up almost anything at that point.
So if you make the adjustment, does it adjust the nighttime one and the daytime?
Yeah, it's an overall sensitivity meter. Again, with the Arlos, you do have to arm them and disarm them, obviously, because if you have them in your house, you don't want it to go off, obviously, saying, hey, there's movement, and it's just you. You can arm them and disarm them manually. You can set up schedules to say, I want it armed at 9 a.m., off at 9 p.m., or you can do what's called, again, the geofencing, similar to the thermostats. When you leave the house, it'll automatically turn them on. When you come home, it turns them off. So, and then with the Swans, they're always recording, again, to that DVR. And then the Nest will record all the time as well, and then it deletes itself. Any other questions on the cameras? Yes, sir.
Rechargeable batteries, you have to take them out and recharge them.
Yes, again, you can hardwire them. If you hardwire them, you don't have to worry about the batteries at that point. With the rechargeable batteries, you'll still get 6-7 months out of them. So you're taking them down. And how they mount is very easy too. They don't screw onto a mount. It's actually one of the coolest mounting systems I've ever seen. It's actually just a metal plate, and in the cameras they have magnets, so the metal plate will just mount to the wall, and you just walk up and you just set it right on the plate, and you can adjust it however you want, and it just stays there. So it's really easy to take on and off, pull the battery out. It's not a whole process where you're unscrewing things. You just grab it, unplug it, and put it back. So, any other questions on the cameras?
So for the different packages in the Arlo, you have either at $250, $420, or at $650. The Swan is a bit harder to give a real price range for because there's a lot of different configurations. But for like an 8 channel with 6 cameras, it's 380. And then for the Nest camera, it's 200.
Yes, sir.
The cameras interchangeable between, you can't go between Swan and Pro.
Unfortunately not, because they all connect to their own base system to get there. The Arlos do have 2 different models though. They have Pros and a basic. They're called Arlo 24/7s, I want to say, something along those lines. The base can go up to the Pros. The Pros cannot go down to the base. So they do have, like I said, they have not Pros. Those are ones that I have that don't have rechargeable batteries that you put batteries in. Those are interchangeable up to, like I said, the Pros can't go down to the base, but the base can go to the Pro. So you can buy, like, say, 1 package of the Pro, and then, like, say, 2 base cameras if you wanted to. Any other questions on the cameras? Yes, ma'am. I thought, okay. Nope, go ahead. What's up? Okay, video doorbells. So this is kind of what I was talking about earlier. This is one I know I talked about a lot when we were first starting. Doorbells basically, these both will connect to your phone. You have the Ring doorbell and the August doorbell. With these, basically, say you're not home and someone walks up to deliver a package, they ring your doorbell, you can actually it'll alert you on your phone, and you can actually see who's there, talk through the doorbell, and see what they're there for, if they're there to drop a package off, whatever it may be, and you can actually talk back through the doorbell to kind of let them know where you're at. They both have a very wide range again. I believe it's higher than even the Arlos. They're almost stealing the floor to kind of get a full angle. And you can also set them up for motion as well. So if someone walks up to your doorbell, it will actually detect that someone's walking close. Again, it's a lot shorter because obviously there's a lot, sometimes depending on where you live, there's a lot of motion right in front of your door. You can set, as someone's walking up though, it will automatically alert you saying, hey, someone's here. And then again, you can immediately turn on that camera feed and talk to them. They both record in a form of HD. The Ring is 1080, so this is your most standard version of HD that you have on a lot of your TVs nowadays. The August door lock is a little bit smaller, but again, it's enough for seeing who's there, what they're there for, and talking to them in that way. They both have 2-way audio. Again, so that's when you're talking back and forth to each other. So you can, again, have a full conversation right through your doorbell. The Ring has 2 ways of connecting. So you can either hardwire it, and again with the August, they both can be hardwired. The Ring, however, can work off of a battery as well. So depending on how your house is set up, or your doorbell set up, or where you're putting it, you can actually throw the Ring on there with just a rechargeable battery, and it'll act like a normal doorbell. The August lock is a little bit different. It does require a hardwire connection, but it will work off if you have a doorbell now, whatever connection you have there already. So it'll immediately just plug right in, and you're good to go. There's not a lot of setup process with it. They both offer optional cloud recording as well. So again, with the motion detection or ringing it, if someone walks up and starts a video feed, you can actually have it record that information. So if you're not home and you're worried about someone stealing your packages or whatever it may be, you can have it set up for optional video recording, and it can record to the cloud basically, and you can review all that information on your phone. These are pretty simple. I know you look like you have something to say. These are pretty simple. Again, they both have motion sensors. They both record, and you both basically have full conversations through them.
And to reiterate, they replace your existing doorbell. It's not like you need an electrician to come out to rewire or anything, unless you do want to move it, but it just replaces your existing doorbell.
And again, they actually both have night vision as well. So at night, they will flip over to the IR and show you obviously at night as well. Yes, sir?
What about size?
Size? So it's about 4 to 6 inches overall. They're not massive, so it's not like you're going to have this giant box on the wall. They're about your average size for a doorbell. Yes, sir.
They use the existing voltage.
Yep, absolutely. You use the same. I believe it's a 110 is there as well. I might be wrong in saying that, but it will use the same voltage that you have there. So, any other questions? Perfect.
For the Ring as well, if you are doing the rechargeable battery and you want to have something in the house that notifies you like a regular doorbell would, they do have a thing that's called the chime. You can put that up anywhere in the house, and it'll actually make a noise off of the Ring when somebody hits it.
What is the cost?
The Ring can go anywhere from $150 to $250, and then the August is $200.
Any other questions on the doorbells here? Yes, ma'am.
How close do you have to be?
Okay, she was wondering how close you have to be for the sensors to kind of go off for the motion sensor. It's not like you have to be right up on it. Again, it is shorter than a lot of the security cameras. You're probably looking about 6 to 8 feet. And again, you can adjust the sensitivity depending on where it's located.
But what is nice about it is, let's say the UPS guy comes by and you're not there. Since it does have two-way communication, you could tell him, hey, I don't want you to leave that package right there. You could tell him, oh, hey, can you put it somewhere else? Or to hold on to it.
And that will actually kind of work in conjunction with our next slide that we're going to talk about.
Yep.
Yes, sir. Follow on to your comment just now. Do you get an immediate response on your phone? Let's say you're away and UPS comes and brings the doorbell.
So the question was, do you get an immediate response? Yes. So it's on your phone. You immediately get a pop-up or a notification on your phone saying, hey, there's someone there, and you just answer that notification. Yes, ma'am.
He doesn't actually have to ring the doorbell. It's going to detect that he's there before he rings it, right?
Correct. You have two ways of handling it. So you can turn off the motion sensor where it won't go off until you ring it, or you can have it go off with the motion sensor. There's different ways that you can kind of customize it to whatever way works best for you. Any other questions on the doorbells? Yes, sir.
Why would you want a battery?
It depends. I have seen some house setups that don't have a hardwire there, and running that cable is a little harder to do than like running a new outlet. So there are some situations, and I've actually seen some people where they take this and they'll put it on their side door versus their front door. Again, where a traditional cable wouldn't be, and that they probably don't want a permanent installation there. Any other questions? Excellent, thank you. All right, so those kind of work in conjunction with our next setup here. I'm going to exclude this for now because this is a garage door. I know someone had a question on that just a few minutes ago. We're going to talk about these two first. These kind of work in conjunction with like the doorbells, basically. So with these, you can actually, the easiest one I'll explain is the August lock. If you have the August lock and someone walks up and you start recording to them, say it's a UPS guy or a friend, you can actually open your door remotely right from your phone and say, hey, come on in, I'll be there in a minute, or hey, just set the package right there. And these actually will detect when the door is unlocked and locked. These actually work off of your phone, so the quick set in the August will work off your phone. So it will actually detect when you're walking up to the door and unlock it. So say your hands are full with groceries, you forgot to unlock the door, you just have your phone in your pocket, it will actually unlock the door as you're walking up to it. With both of these, you can actually set a key code to give to someone else as well. So like a special code for their phone. So say you have someone coming over, company, but you know you won't be home for another hour. As long as you sent it to them, they can actually go up to your door with that key code and unlock it. Now what's really great about that key code is you can actually only set it for say an hour. So say they're going to be there for 20 minutes or whatever else. You can set that code to say, hey, this is only going to work for 20 minutes. If you show up after that, then you're going to have to call me again so I know. So it's really great if you have guests coming over. With the August, and with both of them, if you lose power, they do have manual backups. Obviously, they have a physical key. They're both battery operated, but the batteries last a very long time. I think, I don't have one myself, but I know someone who does, and they said it's lasted over a year for them so far, and they haven't had any issues with it. And then again, it's just as simple as taking it off and recharging it, and a recharge time is very short. So a year to recharge is not bad. I wish my phone was that good even. With the QuickSet, they do have different versions as well. So they can work off of a phone, but they do have touchpad versions as well. So you can punch a code in, create a code, like your old style keypads. They also have, I believe it's biometrics as well. So they can have one where you set it up for a fingerprint as well if you want to get that into it in terms of security, things like that. And fobs, yep, like your car fobs, key fobs. They both can create schedules as well. So you can just say that you want the door to make sure it's locked from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. so you know that it's locked without a doubt. Additionally, I know with the August, I'm pretty sure it's the same with a quick lock or a quick set. You can actually see when the door is unlocked as well. So say you have multiple people who live at your home, you can see when the door is locked, unlocked, for how long it was unlocked, I believe as well. You can get down to the very second that it was locked and unlocked and how long it was unlocked. Go ahead.
So on that example for the UPS, so again, especially if you have the doorbell, the motion sensor and motions, you get your notification. You can tell them, hey, I'm going to unlock the door for you. Can you just put my package right in my doorway? As soon as you unlock it, he puts it in, he closes the door, then you can lock it right back. So that way it's in your house. And as for the virtual keys, especially if you're a snowbird and you're up north, or if you're on vacation and you have a neighbor that feeds pets for you, you can give them a virtual key that is from a certain time range. So from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m., they have a key to get in and then get out, and then after that time, they no longer have a key. And you can set that on a schedule for each day, or whatever the case may be.
All right. Before we move on to this one here, because this does work similar to the door locks for your garage, we'll talk a little bit more about that. Did anyone have questions on the door locks? Yes, ma'am. No, these don't have voice communication. It would be the doorbells that do, but they would not know that information. We had someone who basically, they lived down here, and their son-in-law lived up in Michigan, and he actually set up a Ring doorbell for them, and they would actually answer on his phone up in Michigan for people who came up, like solicitors, things like that, saying, hey, we don't want anything that you might be selling. Sorry, thank you. And he would answer all those, so she wouldn't even have to go to the door, and he'd be up in Michigan. They would have no idea.
So
no, they would
the
not.
question was, if someone comes up to your house, will they know whether you're in or not? Question is no, unless they specifically, you told them. But if you could be in your bedroom or you can be at the grocery store, they're not going to know whether you're there or not.
Yes, sir.
For those of you who do not know, I just switched my house over to QuickSet. QuickSet is probably one of the most economical ways to change your house keys. See that little pin side on the side of the lock there? If say, for instance, you lose your keys, you can go out and get another key, a QuickSet key. Won't make any difference what it is. By merely inserting the tool in there and twisting it, you have now changed the lock. You don't have to pull the cylinders out and take them in and have them re-in.
Yep. And again, you can have the key. You can also go up and just touch it with your finger to unlock it, or you can go based on Bluetooth with your phone and unlock when you get near it with your phone.
And they do have different models that can go off of biometrics, so your fingerprints.
Yep.
You can have some that work off a key fob, so like a car key fob. You just walk up and it'll know that you have one. So.
And again, if you have multiple people in the house with multiple phones or whatever the case, they just have to have the app and sign into the same account that it's set up under.
All right, any other questions on the door locks? Perfect. So the last one, it does work very similar to the door locks. We have the garage door opener. This one does require a hub, similar to the Hue lights. They do have their own box. This will work with basically almost any garage door made after 1993. So just about any garage door that you're going to find, it will hook right up to, no problems. And this works very similar. So you can open and close it, obviously, when you're not home. You can create keys for people who are coming in. So say you don't want them to come into the house, but you want them to be able to grab something out of the garage. You can create a key for someone to walk up to your garage and open the garage for you. It does give you activity alerts as well, saying, hey, the garage door was open for an hour at this time and it closed again at this time. And then lastly, you can actually schedule it to close. So say you're working in a garage and you have to run out real quick and you forgot that you closed the garage and you have a schedule set up. Say you can close at 1 p.m. every day, just if you leave it open to air it out or whatever it may be. So you can actually time when it opens and closes, no problem.
If you just have it set to where at 8 p.m. just automatically close it, so you don't have to worry about going out there to close it.
Absolutely. So again, it works very similar. You can create keys to let people in. It will work off your phone as well. It uses an app to open and close. So it's all automated. You don't have to kind of get down and lift it up. You don't have to have a little fob. You can use your phone to control all of this. All right. Did you have any questions on the garage door opener? He would have that over there.
Pulling it up real quick. I thought we'd missed that one. Any other questions while I was looking that up?
Yes, sir.
It's actually $100 for the garage door. Sorry
about that.
Security to lose your phone.
Okay. All you have to do, they do have manual backups. So they both, at least the two door locks, have a manual backup for a key that you would either keep in your car or somewhere well hidden. Alternatively, they can just sign back into the app, so you do link an account to it. Any other phone, if you have one, you can sign back into the account and you'll be right back in.
And you probably didn't hear it. Question was, what happens if you lose your phone? So if you lose your phone, you pretty much they have, like you said, they have their own backup system. Someone can't just simply get in your phone in case you lose it. Even if they did, they would then need to know your login information to the app. So it's not like even if your phone's hacked, they don't know your login information to then get in. Now, of course, if they have your phone and they walk up to your door, it might automatically unlock. But as long as you can actually set in the app itself what devices can and can't open it. So in the history, you can remove that device from the app. So you have another phone, quickly go to your phone, go in the app and tell it to forget that device.
Any other questions on the door locks or the garage opener? Excellent. This one's my favorite. I really like this one. I'm going to talk about the Google Home, and I'm going to let Zoe talk about the Alexa. She was our Amazon VPL for a while, so she worked actually exclusively for Amazon for the Alexas and stuff like that.
Just a quick thing before they go over it. A lot of people typically already have these. When you raise your hand and ask questions, specifically try to keep it to where it's about the device itself and not how to use a specific function, because we could sit here and talk all day about that. So, yeah, we'll be here after the class answering any questions. So if you have questions about specific functions and how to do it, just come up to us afterwards.
Okay, real quick, a show of hands. I know a lot of people usually have these. These are kind of like the starting block to any smart home. Anyone have an Alexa in here? A lot of hands. Any Google Homes? I see hands all the way out there. Wow. Hey, me and you are outnumbered. I have 3 Google Homes. I love the Google Homes, but I've used Alexa, the Echoes extensively. These are honestly the key blocks to having a smart home. These are kind of, if anyone asks me, hey, how do I get started on having a smart home? Having a smart assistant is the best way to do it. Like, I accidentally passively said about the lights and everything else earlier, oh, I just say it to the Alexa, because I'm so used to not using the apps. These control all of that and make it even more automated for you. All you would simply say is, hey, turn this device off. Hey, turn this device on. There's no pulling your phone out. There's none of that. These usually do it all. And if it doesn't, there's actually ways to set it up so it can. Like, they have even their own way to make things work for you, basically. The Google Home uses, obviously, Google's Assistant. So if anyone uses an Android phone, it uses the same Google Assistant that you would use on there. This one can make phone calls, basically. So you can call out. You can't get calls in, but you can call out to it, to anyone in your contacts. It does provide multi-user support as well. So basically, say you have 4 people who live in a house and all their phones are linked to this Google Home, you can actually train the voice to go per each person. So say you have your contact set up and your other half comes in and says, hey, I want to call this person. It's going to look in their phone and not yours. And if it can't find their phone, it'll say, hey, sorry, we can't find that contact, because it doesn't know that they belong to your phone. So you can actually train it so it only works on your phone and theirs works on their phone. In addition to that, it can look up anything that you would find in Google. So you could say, hey, how far away is the moon? And it will tell you, oh, it's so many miles away. I don't know the answer to that, I should. It's so many miles away, though. It can send that information to your phone if you want to know more about it. So say you're talking, you ask it about a recent news event. It'll actually send that to your phone so you can go back later and read more on that if it doesn't tell you everything. Because some of those articles are really long. I don't want to sit in an hour at my Google Home listening to it all. So it'll read the first paragraph and then send the rest to your phone. Kind of give you a little bit of clip of what's going on. It does work as a speaker as well. So it connects to popular apps like Spotify, Pandora, YouTube Music, Google Play Music. It can iHeartRadio. It's growing. They're adding hundreds and hundreds of it. It can play music. They have really good speakers in it. I personally love the speakers in it. They sound really great. I use it as my primary music device even because how good it sounds. And it's as simple as saying, hey, Google, play this song. And that's all it takes. It starts playing that song, no problem.
Just to touch on that real quick with the Google Home, since it does do Bluetooth, connect Bluetooth devices, so with the music, like especially playing your music, you can actually connect it to like a better speaker or audio system so that it plays through your music instead of its device if you have something like that.
And it's really great because the Google Homes also you can create a group. You can create basically a group even if you have like 3 or 4. So like I said, I have 3. I have one in my bathroom, one in my kitchen, and one in my bedroom. So I can say, hey Google, play this everywhere, and it will start playing on all the speakers, no problem. And it gives you the whole whole home sound system basically, kind of similar to Sonos if you guys have heard of that, where it links everything together and they all play in sync. It sounds incredible, especially when you're cleaning. There's nothing better than running through one room and keep hearing the song versus staying in one room and like what song is that? This also controls Google-based products as well. So if you have like a Chromecast, which is Google's version of the Fire Stick, you can say, hey, cast this to this device. And it'll throw it on whatever device that is. So again, I have multiple Chromecasts. So I just say, hey, Google, play this on Netflix. And it'll start playing it on Netflix for me, no problem. Additionally, again, it does control a lot of the smart things that we talked about. So you can say, hey, I want the lights to turn off. It'll turn the lights off. Or if you create a scene, say, hey, it's time to read. It'll lower the lights down for you where it's comfortable range. Lastly, it does have a customizable appearance. So they have some new versions now, but this bottom base here is fabric. That can actually change to match any decor you have, and they have a lot. They have probably 100 plus of those now. There's like a wood grain, there's just different colored mesh. They have a ton to kind of make it fit wherever. Google's whole thing is to kind of make it fit in wherever it is. It does use 2 wide range microphones, so you can scream to it in the other room. I've done that before. I'll be all the way in my bedroom and I'll yell at it and say, hey, do this, and it'll hear me all the way in the other room. So I have done it. I got laughed at for doing it for a few times, but I do it because it works. And it does have on the top a touch control as well, so you can turn the volume up and down if you're right at it. I'll let her talk about the Google or the Amazon Echo.
I don't talk about Google. I'm sorry, that's you. All right, so all of the fantastic things that a Google does, Amazon Echo does that and a little bit more. I gotta brag a little bit on this. So it does do hands-free calling. It actually can receive calls. So unlike my Google friend over there, we do a little bit more. It has incredible sound. It also, instead of having just 2 microphones, it has 9 microphones. So it can actually has a wider range of picking up your voice. If you're in a large room, it's still going to hear you, which is kind of fantastic. Again, it does a lot of things. It does Spotify, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio. You can actually, there is a way that you can get your iTunes to work on it as well, or your Apple Music. With the Amazon Echo, a lot of folks have Apple products and iPhones these days. So Amazon actually works much more compatible, let's say, with Apple products. You can actually log in using your Apple ID, where you actually have to, it's a little bit more of a hunt and gather with the Google. And I know that we had a gentleman who actually works with us, and he first got the Google, and then he took it home, and he could not figure out for the life of him, and he works with computers on a daily basis, he could not figure out for the life of him how to get his Apple ID to work on the Google Assistant. So he went back and got an Amazon Echo. Again, you can create a whole home sound system, essentially, where that you can put multiple Echoes in each room. The Dot, the Echo 2nd generation, or right here what you see is the Echo Plus, which actually has a smart home hub built into it, which, if we're going to put it into somewhat relatable terms, Philips Hue lights. I have them in my house. I got the starter kit with the bridge because I got it before, just a couple weeks before they released the Echo Plus. If I had waited a couple weeks, then I wouldn't have needed to purchase the whole kit, spending $100. I would have just been able to spend $15 on a couple light bulbs here and there as I wanted to add them in, and they've made it pretty seamless. The other thing is that Amazon Echo works with, as he mentioned, Sonos speakers. They're incredible sound. They're wireless speakers, and they're just wonderful. So they work quite seamlessly with that. And Sonos and Amazon have partnered, so we actually have a Sonos speaker with Alexa built into it.
Just to go over a couple things, like she just mentioned with the hub built into the Echo Plus. Well, yes, it does work with the Philips Hue specifically. You can't get all the features with the Philips Hue unless you get the Philips Hue hub. So you can still use the Amazon or the Echo Plus instead of having to get its hub. Just know that you're not able to get all compatible features. So just to let you know that. And also, one of the good things about these devices is that all the hardware is already there, so it's not like they're always coming out with new models and you're always having to upgrade constantly like a phone. A phone you're constantly upgrading every year, practically. with the Google Home and Amazon Alexa or Echo. So for instance, when Google Home first came out, it didn't have Bluetooth capability, didn't have hands-free calling. Within the first year, they just did an update and your Google Home was able to do Bluetooth. And then a year after that, I believe, then it started doing hands-free calling. So there's constantly updates going on to these devices, so there's no like new models that come out that you have to buy that are just better. They're already being implemented there. The hardware's there. And also, one thing we don't have on the slide is the HomePods. They just recently came out. That's the Apple's version of the assistants. That is for Apple devices. As far as the HomePods go, yes, they are an assistant for Apple devices, but they're more tailored to like speakers for music. They got excellent quality for music, but they're just not as powerful as like having an Echo or a Google Home as far as the assistant part goes.
And again, one thing I just want to reiterate again on the smart assistants, I could talk about this all day until I'm blue in the face. This is honestly the key foundation to having a smart home. Any kind of, if you want the first stepping stone, it's one of these. The Google Homes they start at $129. They have a smaller version that is $49.99, I want to say. The Echoes
They are $129.99, which is the base starting model, I guess you could say. And then the Dot, which I like to call the hockey puck, because it's exactly what it looks like, is, I want to say, $49.99. Oftentimes, at least at our store, we have it on sale for $39.99. I know that we kind of run off of each other as far as that goes. And then the Echo Plus is $150.
So again, if you want any like first foundation, it's one of these. They control almost any smart device. And anything we've talked about today, it has the ability to control the thermostat, the lights, all of it, the security cameras. So on mine, I can say, hey Google, set the temperature to 72. Hey Google, set the alarms, and it'll do all of that. It takes me 3 seconds to do, and I'm out the door, no problem.
Yep. And with mine, it also works with, and I'm sure it does with that one as well. I actually have it on my phone, so instead of having to go into the Philips Hue app, and instead of having to go through each single one, I can actually just pull it up on my phone, and I can show you real quick, once my phone turns on, that all you have to do is go into your smart home settings, and then from there you can control light bulbs, thermostats, smart outlets, garage door openers, security cameras, and everything right from one central location rather than having to locate and find every single app or try to navigate that situation. It gets complicated.
Excellent. Do we have any questions on the smart assistants? Yes, sir. He had his hand up first. Sorry.
Are they electrical plug-in, or are they battery operated?
They plug into a regular 110 outlet. They do not, at least I know, they don't come automatically with a battery backup. However, they do have aftermarkets. I know on Amazon specifically, you can get battery backups for both, where you can turn them into a portable speaker or a portable voice assistant. I know there are folks who have the Echo Dot. They keep it in their car because they love it. So they tether it with their phone.
Yes, sir.
Are they transferable from home to home here in Newark?
Yeah, absolutely. So he was wondering if they're transferable. They absolutely are. The only thing is there is kind of a resetup process once you do it, but the resetup is just getting it connected to the Wi-Fi again. Once it's back on the Wi-Fi, you're good to go. It'll remember all the settings you had previously.
You need a bridge?
Nope. So they work independently. You just plug them into an outlet and you're good to go. It does set up on a phone app. So on the phone, the Google's uses a Google Home app, and then the Alexa's is the Alexa app.
The Alexa app. The only time you're going to need the bridge or a hub is if you want to connect other devices. So such as the Philips Hue or say the Logitech Harmony Hub, if you want to be able to control your TV and other devices with your voice, it gets rid of that middleman of having to use the remote. So
For the garage door.
Exactly.
Any other questions on the smart assistants? Yes, sir.
Is there a way to connect to traditional amplifiers and speakers?
Yes. I know I can only speak for the Echo here, but we do have an auxiliary port in every single one of our devices. To touch on just a couple of newer ones that we've also have. So we have the Echo Plus, the Echo, the Dot, the Show, which is basically a small TV screen that allows you to control everything and see it. And the Spot, which is the smaller version of the Show. And we also have our own cloud security cameras, currently only indoor, however they're developing them for outdoor use. And everything works like that. The great thing is actually if you have the Ring doorbell system and you have an Echo Show, you can pull it up, say you have that in your living room and you don't want to have to pull out your phone because it's plugged in the bedroom. You can actually say, hey Alexa, show me who's at the front door. And because it has been activated and you'll get the notification on the Show, your phone, and a tablet if you want to, you can pull everything up and have that conversation because there's the microphone and the speakers built in.
I seen another hand. Yes, sir.
You get the Echo Home and you take it out of the box.
Mm-hmm.
How difficult is it to set up?
Okay, so his question was if you take an Echo Home out of the dot base, or an Echo Dot out of the box, how hard is it to set up? It's honestly, it's extremely easy. You plug it into a wall outlet. That's all the setup on the device itself in terms of actually getting it on and ready. From there, you would download the companion app. So again, Google Homes is the Home app, and then Echoes is Alexa. From there, it's basically, it walks you through step by step on what you have to do. It even tells you how to connect it if you haven't even gotten that far. It shows you diagrams. It's very simple. It's honestly, the setup process is just, at least with the Home, and I'm pretty sure it's the same with the Echo, you sign into your account, whatever account you have in conjunction with it, and then you connect it to the Wi-Fi. So you just type in your Wi-Fi password and you're good to go. And then from there, obviously, you can add more to it, like your individual accounts like Spotify and whatever else it may be.
If you have any questions, you can, I can't speak for him, he does more behind the scenes work, but if you do have any questions, you can come in and see me. As far as setting up the app, I can get the app running on your phone in store, no hassle. It's connecting the actual device. It needs to be in your home for the Wi-Fi, but I can get you to the very last step. So that really all you have to do is go home, plug it in, and follow the instructions.
All right. Any other questions?
Actually, just so that we can make sure we get through everything, probably going to go ahead and go to the next slide. Again, if you have any other questions, you can come see us afterwards, or we'll still be here. All right.
Perfect. I'm going to let him actually take this away since this is his primary slide.
So at your house, you probably have a modem. Well, your ISP probably gave you a modem/router combination device. When you're getting all these devices that we've been talking about, each one of these are probably Wi-Fi required, and each one of these are being added onto your existing router. Most likely the base one that you got from your ISP probably won't be able to handle all these devices plus what you currently have. You might want to look at upgrading your router. Now also, so when we talk about the wireless routers, especially this one as far as like smart homes, the two that I really like to talk about is the Linksys Velop, V-E-L-O-P, made by Linksys, and the other one is the Netgear Orbi. Pretty much what they do is that they come in, the Velop is in a node system, and the Orbi is in, it's called satellites. So pretty much you can get, for example, I'll use the Velop. They come in 1, 2, or 3 nodes, depending on which one you buy, and you can always add on later. But each node covers about 2,200 square feet of your house. And the purpose of this is that it creates, you set up the nodes throughout the house, and it creates 100% signal strength throughout your whole entire house. So let's say you have a big house, and you have your basic router, and it couldn't get to all the way to the end of your house, so you might have bought in what's called an extender. The problem with extenders is that it takes a very low signal strength and boosts it to get to the rest of the house. It doesn't boost the signal to make it stronger, it just extends that signal. So you're already working from a weak signal. And also on top of that, depending on what material your house is made up, or the wall, or the case may be, it can deter or block those signals. What's great about the Velop or Orbi is that, again, you just place them throughout the whole entire house, and it creates 100% signal strength, because each one of them, there's its own router. And it also has technology built in to where it helps get around those bad signal spots from, like, let's say a concrete wall or a brick wall, the case may be. And they also come with, there's very, very simple to set up. You pretty much take it out of the box, plug one in, it tells you to download the app on the phone, and it literally walks you pictures and everything, how to take off your current modem or router, your current router, and how to set it up. It's very simple. Now, if you have, of course, if you have a modem router combo from your ISP, you don't want to remove that. because you'll need it for the modem side. Pretty much, it's probably Velp is my favorite. Just the fact that you can do a lot of customization on the app itself. So like, let's say you can, your grandkids come by and you can see the devices that are on the network, and you can even cut off those devices from the network. So like, let's say you don't want them to be on the internet, you can actually take that device on the app and say, I don't want to have internet. And it cuts the internet off to it, or the case may be. You can set up also, so it has guest network as well as main network, so that if someone comes by as a guest, they don't have to connect to your main network. You can say, give them the password to the guest one, and they just connect to your guest. And that way it creates additional more security. Any questions on the routers?
What's the cost of this?
The Linksys, like I said, they come in 1, 2, or 3 node systems. The 1 node is $199, 2 nodes is $349, and a 3-pack is $449. And again, let's say you are only, you don't think you need like 2 or 3 nodes, and you bought the one, and then you later decide you want to upgrade it, you could just buy another single node and just add it on at a later time. Any other questions? All right. All right, so I was talking about earlier before about Vivint. So a lot of the questions were, what happens if your power goes out? With Vivint, Vivint is a company that Best Buy has partnered with, and they provide a lot of options for that. One of the biggest benefits is that all these devices come with their own apps. With Vivint, they have its own Sky Control panel and its own smart home app that with the app, you can control every single one of these devices through its own app instead of having to go to each one. Or you can do it straight from the Sky Control panel that gets set up at your house. And it does, so it works with the Nest, works with the Honeywells, works with the Quickset, anything like that. Or the Amazon Echo, works with your Arlo cameras, a garage door, smart locks, anything like that. And even provides 24/7 monitoring if you decide to go that route. And again, the biggest help with that with the Sky Control panel is that let's say your power goes out, it provides backup power to the house for 48 hours. So if you're up north and all of a sudden the power goes out because of a weather storm, like when we had the hurricane, I was out of power for 5 days. 2 of those days could have been backed up and still running with power to my devices. So let's say I was up north, I could still see with clouds or web-based on my phone, the camera system. My cameras are still going to be running. So if someone's trying to burgle your house because they think that no one's there and there's no power, you still have evidence of someone breaking into your house, and you can view it right from there, from your app on your phone. And also, on top of that, some people, like let's say they live far away and they don't have the option of getting with a cable provider or a DSL provider, so like CenturyLink or Bright House or Comcast. In order for them to get internet, they pay a monthly fee to get a set amount of data. Now, all these devices connected to your router, or it's going to consume your data plan if you're like with Verizon. One of the benefits with Vivint is that it does have what's called Z-Wave technology, in that it connects to the cell phone towers of Sprint, AT&T, and Verizon, and it provides internet to all of your devices without actually consuming your data plan. So again, if your power goes out, typically that means your internet goes out, but because of the panel, it's providing internet to all your devices still. And again, it's not going to consume that monthly fee that you pay with Verizon or whatever the case may be. And especially with the 24/7 monitoring service, it does a lot more than just security cameras. There was an incident in Tampa where a gentleman came in, he bought a Vivint. They had it come out, they set it up, and a week later, it's about midnight, he wakes up to the fire department pulling him out of his house because the Vivint recognized 24/7 monitoring, recognized that the carbon monoxide levels were too high in his house. And when the fire department got there, the Vivint actually unlocked the doors for him, the fire department, so they didn't have to bust down the doors and break it, and led him to where the gentleman is so they could pull him out. If he didn't have that, he would have been dead. Another one was someone broke into a home. Vivint notified the police, and when the police got there, they unlocked the doors for the police officer. They turned on the lights for the officer as he was walking by, and they were able to tell him and direct him exactly where the intruder was because of the indoor cameras. So he immediately was able to go in and grab him. So so with the 24/7 monitoring, in case anyone's wondering, that specifically is a $50 package. Now, as far as the rest goes, that is something you can go in the store and talk to at Vivint, and they'll build a package for all the devices. Now, a lot of the things about, like, let's say the light bulbs. Let's say you break a light bulb, or the case may be, well, you might have a standard warranty with that. With Vivint, they provide their own warranties. So if someone were to steal your camera, they do have their own warranties for that, with Vivint specifically. Any questions for that? Oh, actually, one other thing. For everything that we've been talking about, if you're wondering about your specific situation at home, if you go into the store and talk to anyone, any of the blue shirts, sales rep, anyone, and you can actually ask for an in-home consultation. And a lady named Jessica will come out. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. She comes out. She goes over your house and suggests anything. She's completely trained in every single department: appliances, routers, TVs, home theater, computers, all these devices. She's trained in everything. She is the best in-home consultation person in the whole entire nation. She's been rated that because she's very, very good. And like I said, it's free if you need anyone to come out. And also, if you're interested in Vivint, just let them know that, and a Vivint rep will come out with her. All right. Any questions? Yes, sir.
You said that it would supply power for 2 days.
Yes.
So this is not a gas-powered generator?
No. I wish I had the Vivint rep here today because he wasn't available. But I'm not entirely sure on that part. I know it runs off its own line, and I believe it runs off the same line as, like, how can I say? I'm sure it's battery operated, but I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to look that up. Is anyone else? All right. That is the presentation. Ken, if you have any questions additional, more welcome to come up. All right.
Thank you again to the Lady Lake Library and AMAC for having us.
Yep. Thank you.